A young woman wearing a sleeveless dress walks into a pub. She walks up to a bunch of men sitting at the table and raises her arm, revealing a hairy armpit, and pointing at the men says, "Which one of you is going to buy this woman a drink?" The men start ignoring her and go about their business. But then an old drunk man at the end of the table shouts, "Get this beautiful ballerina a drink." The bartender gives her a drink, which after finishing she again repeats the action. "Who will buy me a drink?" All the while revealing the same hairy armpit. The old man yet again slaps his money on the bar and says, "Get this ballerina another drink." This time, before giving her the drink, the bartender walks up to the man and asks, "Sorry, sir, I know it's none of my business, but why do you keep calling her a ballerina?" The old man replies, "Why? Oh, surely anybody who can raise their leg up so high must be a ballerina." A woman at a diet club was lamenting the fact that she had put on weight. "I made my family's favorite cake over the weekend," she told the group, "and they ate half of it at dinner. The next day, I kept staring at the other half until I finally weakened and cut myself a thin slice. Well, I'm ashamed to say that once I got the taste, there was no stopping me. One slice led to another, and soon the whole cake was gone. I was totally dismayed by my lack of willpower, and I knew that my husband would be bitterly disappointed in me." "What did he say when he found out?" asked the group leader gently. "Oh, he never found out," said the woman. "I made another cake and ate half." 6 retired Florida gentlemen were playing high-stakes poker in a condo clubhouse. During an especially high-stakes game, a member of the group, Ron, lost $5,000 on a single hand, clutched his chest, and dropped dead at the table from a heart attack. Showing respect for their fallen comrade, the other 5 finished playing the hand standing up. Abraham looked around and asked, "So, who's going to tell his wife?" They cut the cards, and Saul won. The dubious honor of delivering the sad news. They advise him to be discreet, be gentle, not to make a bad situation any worse. Discreet? I'm the most discreet person you'll ever meet. Discretion is my middle name, he says. "Leave it to me." Saul went over to the apartment where Ron's wife lived. He knocked on the door. She quickly answered it and saw him standing outside, looking somewhat nervous. "What do you want, Saul? Where's my good-for-nothing husband?" she asked. Saul pauses, thinking of how to tell her what happened. "Ron just lost $5,000 playing poker," he said. "He's afraid to come home." "What?" she screamed in disbelief. "Tell that son of a bitch to drop dead." "Can do," replied Saul. A man entered the confessional and told his priest, "I almost had an affair with another woman." The priest said, "What do you mean, almost?" The man said, "Well, we took our clothes off and rubbed against each other, but then I stopped." The priest said, "Rubbing against each other is like getting into each other. You'll never see that woman again. For your penance, say 5 Hail Marys and put $50 in the poor box." The man left the confessional, said his prayers, and then walked toward the poor box. He paused for a moment, then began to leave. The priest, who was watching him, ran to him and said, "I saw that. You didn't put any money in the poor box." The man replied, "Yes, but I rubbed the $50 on the box, and according to you, that's the same as putting it in." A wealthy but stingy father was trying to put a birthday party together for his 19-year-old daughter. He wanted the party to be extravagant, but wanted to spend as little money as possible. He had finished all of the other decorations, and he was left to work on the cake. "Why not get it ordered from an upscale bakery?" his wife said. So the father visited a ton of different bakeries and did research, but found the prices to be too high. "My daughter is inviting all of her friends, and I'll look bad if I don't put together a good cake," he thought. Then he stumbled upon a shop that opened once a year to provide free cake to its customers. How quaint, the father thought, but desperate, he walked inside to see if they could provide a cake for his daughter's birthday. He was met by a Buddhist monk chanting and lighting incense. "Hello," the father asked. "I would like to buy a cake." "Of course," the monk replied. "Just draw a picture of the cake you would like on the notepad on the desk." The father thought this to be weird, but wanting to save as much money as possible, He gave him the address and told him to come in the back door, just in case the cake was bad. The day of the party arrived, and the monk visited the house with the most extravagant cake the family had ever seen. All of the guests were in awe and whispered to each other about how much the cake could have cost. The monk became the guest of honor, and at the end of the party, the father approached the monk and asked, "Why do you do this for free? You should take money for your services." The monk smiled and said, "I do this for free because a cake day is the best way to earn karma." 3 men die and appear at the pearly gates. St. Peter says that before they can enter, they must describe the circumstances of their death. The first man says, "I'm not proud of this, but I was an insanely jealous man. I was convinced that my wife was cheating on me. This morning, after I left our apartment, I didn't get on the bus as usual. Instead, I sneaked back up to the 14th floor, determined to catch my wife with her lover. I burst into the apartment, shouting, 'Where is he?' I searched every inch of the apartment and found no one. Finally, I went out on the balcony to get some air when I noticed a man running out of our building, straightening his tie. In my jealous rage, I thought this must be her lover, who managed to slip past me while I was searching the apartment. Not wanting to let him get away, I ran into the kitchen, grabbed the refrigerator, dragged it to the balcony, and threw it over. Well, the exertion and rage caused a heart attack, and I died right there." St. Peter says, "That was quite a story. What about you?" The second man said, "It's the damnedest thing. I was late for my bus this morning. As I was running out of my building, straightening my tie, suddenly a refrigerator falls on my head." Peter turns to the third man and asks the same question. The third man says, "Picture this. I'm minding my own business, sitting naked inside a refrigerator." 3 men die and are standing before the gates of heaven. The angel at the gates tells them that none of them were bad people, but not virtuous either. Therefore, all he could offer them was reincarnation, but they could not reincarnate as people. The angel points to a nearby cliff and tells them they can just run off the cliff and say the name of what they want to be reincarnated as. One of the 3 says, "I know exactly what I want to be," and runs off the cliff yelling gorilla, and he becomes a newborn gorilla. The next guy runs off the cliff and yells eagle, and becomes a newborn eagle hatching from an egg. The last guy thinks real hard about what he wants to be, and then takes off running. And just as he runs to the end of the cliff, he accidentally trips and says, "Crap." A woman goes to the doctor. The doctor asks her what the problem is. She says, "I have these weird marks on my inner thighs." She lifts her skirt and spreads her legs, showing 2 large circles, one on each thigh. "They don't hurt," the woman explains, "but I just wanted to be safe." The doctor leans in and inspects them. He looks up at the woman and asks, "By chance, are you a lesbian?" The woman is shocked. "Why, yes, I am," she answers. "How could you tell?" The doctor says, "You'll have to tell your girlfriend her earrings aren't real gold."